Hey guys, we are here at Group Fitness Live. My name is Christine Dwyer and one of the co-owners of Group Fitness Live, which is a virtual online group fitness studio. We've collaborated with a lot of instructors from across the country, brought them together so that we can create the most in-home live group fitness experience for you. And we have over 35 live classes a week taught by the instructors, which then move into our on-demand library. And we wanted to kind of chat with a lot of our instructors, kind of get their viewpoint of working out at home, teaching versus in the gym as opposed to being online and how that's different. And also, how can you optimize working out at home, especially when you may be limited with equipment or getting to know what kind of workout is going to be best for you to get results. And I'm glad that we've got one of our top most favorite instructors in our Group Fitness Live, and that is Kelly McCarthy. No, it's Cherney.
Yes.
Yes. I was trying to remember how to say it. So she's got one of those really long names that barely fit our schedule graphics, but we want it to be there. But again, Kelly is all the way over in Hawaii. And we were so grateful to have her come on board because again, when you are trying to work out at home, and especially if you want to do live workouts, your time zones are going to be all different. And that's why we really focused on having instructors from pretty much every time zone so that it would match home live workouts, especially you've got a lot of followers from Hawaii that take your classes. So we wanted to be sure that we had that. So welcome, Kelly. So glad to have you here. Thanks for giving us your time today.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Aloha. Yeah, she gets to say that every time, and that's so sweet. Sometimes she shows us some video outside her window before she starts teaching. All right, so let's get to know you a little bit before we go into some of the hard questions. So why don't you give us a little bit of a synopsis of your background, how long you've been teaching, if you have kids, what's your home life like? Let us know a little bit about you.
Well, my son is upstairs distance learning right now, and I'm sure at some point he's going to come down and be ready for lunch. But by all means, yeah. And then my husband and I, we met in Brooklyn, New York, and then decided to move out here. So, yeah.
Why? So why did you? So you are from Brooklyn, New York, and you moved out to Hawaii?
No, we just met there. We met there. I'm originally from Iowa, so landlocked. But yeah, we met there and just, you know, got attracted to the lifestyle.
The lifestyle of Hawaii. How long has it been that you've lived out there?
12 years, 12 and a half years now. So.
Okay. And you're on Maui?
Yes, we're on Maui, and yeah, can't complain.
Right. Do you have pets and all?
I do. We have a black cat. I just had a picture of her up on Facebook. And she, you know, she's my cat on a ledge or cat on a for the holidays.
Yeah, on the ledge. Oh, that's funny. All right, so let us know kind of then, since you have been talking about, you know, being out there in Hawaii for a while, and what is the fitness life like? Because again, some people have never been to Hawaii and really don't know what is normal. So what does normal fitness look like out in Hawaii? Outside of a pandemic.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, the energy is amazing. You know, everywhere you go, to the different studios, to the different gyms. I've mostly been teaching at the hotels, so very there. So haven't been teaching there in a while, which is just delightful to have that opportunity to teach outside and you bring that, you know, the elements of nature into your every single class is just amazing, and that's just such a wonderful opportunity to do. So yeah. Looking forward to getting back to that at some point. But you know, definitely, you know, some similarities with, you know, we had a 24-hour fitness, and you know, a lot of similar programs that you see, and you know, similar energies, and just you know, that love of moving. Again, very active community, especially here on Maui. So it's just, it's been wonderful. You know, I have the best job.
What are some of the most popular classes out there that are just popular in general, but also some of the most favorite ones that people take from you?
Oh, well, you know, Zumba has always been huge, you know, since we started, you know, doing that here on the island. You know, everybody loves to dance.
Yeah.
And barre has become increasingly popular. Of course, yoga. They love turbo kick, and you know, anything that brings that really authentic energy, I think, is what everybody loves that, and so I think that different things come and go. The spinning and cycling classes have been popular too, so there's all kinds of wonderful instructors that I work with that also teach different things as well, and so we all kind of just back each other up and like,
Yeah.
okay. So we all kind of wear a lot of hats.
What is it, mostly vacationers in your classes, or is it just like home-based regulars?
At the gyms, it's a mix. I mean, mostly regulars, but again, with like a local gym in town, we still get visitors here in Kihei. And then also, at different places, if it's more corporate, then people belong to that gym and they're gonna come. So it's always fun to meet people from all over the world and all over the country in classes. Definitely at the hotels, it's all tourists, which again, it's fun to meet people from everywhere that take classes, and then they really enjoy having that difference. There's always just a little bit of Maui flavor that comes through. I think in how all of us teach here, it just happens. Especially if you're outside, there's just things that you say that I find myself inside going, "Oh, that doesn't really translate."
Yeah. Yeah. Are you finding, I mean, we're talking now in November, so depending on when people watch this, it may be a different situation with the world and the changes that we have going on. But in the situations that we're at now in the States, in the connected States here, we have a very limited option for people to go into live classes. They've cut a lot of the classes off the schedule. Instructors have lost a lot of their classes that they're teaching, and they have a very skeleton class schedule, as well as a skeleton class attendees, that they're only allowing X amount of attendees to come in to take classes, and they have to do appointments and all. So that's kind of the norm around in the connected states. What is the norm where you are right now?
Very similar. It's been pretty devastating, really. Some of the gyms have closed,
Yeah.
and so it's been really hard because we're family, and that's
Mhm.
our community. We rely on each other to pump each other up. So it's been really tough, and knowing that those places won't open back up,
Yeah.
and not just hearing from here on Maui, but my friends over on neighboring islands, same story. That hope that they're going to reopen is gone.
Yeah.
So really hard. And then there are some other places that have really been able to survive, and that's awesome. But yes, it's very limited options. And still, yeah, skeleton crew. I know for myself, my son's home distance learning. So my normal class schedule that I would teach while he was at school is,
Yeah.
I can't do it, it's just, so there's a lot of variables happening, across the board that, very similar where, if, people have to make their reservations, and, it's a different world.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, we're just starting to open the hotels. Um, and I literally have a training next week. So I'll be learning more about, how that's going to happen, and how those classes will look at the hotels, so it's, we're all sort of relearning and trying our best at this point to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point about, your son at home doing the distant learning, and obviously your opportunity to teach live in person, like you said, at the hotels or the gym has been cut back or limited. So how then has been teaching online been for you, with the positive side of, again, you're now home more because you have your son. Has that been something that's helped you being able to virtually teach it all?
So much, and I'm so grateful to have that opportunity, because yeah, I can teach my class down here and he's upstairs learning. Worst case scenario, if he needs something, like, we just roll with it.
Yeah.
But otherwise I wouldn't have that opportunity, because I need to be here, I need to be at home. And so being able to teach from home has really opened that door back up for me and given me that outlet. And, you know, being on board with, especially with Group Fitness Live, and just the ease it brings to my life is, I'm just so thankful, because, you know, otherwise I would be very, very limited. And, you know, I'm used to my profession and what I do. And, you know, to not have that was a little hard for a while. So I'm really glad to have this availability and opportunity to still reach out into people's homes now, and, you know that they're on the other side of the screen doing it with me is been really fun. And, you know, it wasn't something I originally saw myself doing at all. But it's really been fabulous, and the energy's still there. It's still great.
Yeah, that's another point that you brought up about, you know, you've worked so hard to get your certifications and all the years of experience where you kind of established yourself and your credibility, your connection with other people on a physical gym schedule, that now when that's kind of been taken away from us, it has stripped our ability as fitness instructors to really kind of utilize all those years of commitment and education and expenses towards our education to be able to teach, that all of that is just taken away. And so how then really does that work for you then, that you now have come from that position and now you're moving to virtual? Is it helpful then that you now have that flexibility to be able to teach virtual and still in person?
Yes, very much so, because, you know, again, we don't have a lot of information yet. And to be honest, you know, I like it. I didn't think I was going to like it, but I love it. And so now it's something that I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep going with this. And this works, because it was years of finding the right schedule. I literally felt like I finally had this schedule that I just loved. I wasn't working nights and weekends. And I, you know, worked. I mean, you have to hustle, you know, you got to hustle. And, you know, I finally was able to establish a routine and schedule that I just was like, oh, this is great, you know, or be able to have enough income to survive on it. And it was like, oh, there it goes. So, you know, now it's starting over again, because again, you know, some of the places, you know, are on a, you know, skeleton, you know, there's very limited opportunities that we had before. And I'm limited also by just, you know, what I can physically do during the day, which I was used to being able to work during the day. And so, but now it's, you know, occurred to me like, okay, this is something I'm going to stick with. And this is actually a direction that, you know, the world's going to keep going this way. So why not get on board? And why not be part of it? Why not be part of that energy? And, you know, Group Fitness Live is definitely given that place to go, okay, this is something I can trust. I know it's going to be successful. I know it's going to be done well and with integrity. And that's important, you know, to have that and go, oh, you know, this isn't just, you know, I'm not just trying to like fish in the dark here, you know, with like finding, you know, finding opportunities and, you know, giving, you know, the students that have been with me for a long time, giving them an option that that they enjoy too, that gives them not just me, but everybody. They're getting so many different, you know, instructors, so many different programs. I mean, so many of them that, you know, they take Zumba with me and I'm like, you guys got to try Turbo Kick. You're going to love it. Just trust me, you know. And then they do. And then, of course, they love it. And they're like, oh, my gosh, I love this. I can't believe it. We'd so like to try it. So, you know, it's giving people that, you know, an opportunity to try something new that maybe they were too scared to do before because, you know, they don't have anybody watching them. You know, they don't have to. It's even with the Zumba class. Sometimes I'm like, you know, I imagine I visualize my students. You know, I know how they move, and I I know what they're doing during certain parts. And so I'm doing it with them in my mind, but also I know that they're getting a little crazy. I mean, people get crazy, they get wild and crazy, and they're like a different person. They walk out of the room and I'm like, I won't tell your kids what happened in here. You know, I won't tell anybody. And that's how it works. You know, this is your safe place to be sassy and, and move how you want to move and not feel inhibited. And being able to work out from home really gives you that, and gives you that opportunity to just not worry about all those other factors while you're working out.
Yeah, it's a me time, you know, because again, when we're so used to, all right, this is my time to put the kids in kids club or make sure that someone's taking care of the kids and the dogs or whatever, and I get to go to the gym and take my class and just let loose and be my own self. Still working out at home is still a scheduled time for you, and I think that's a priority that we have to still honor. Is this is your appointment time to forget the emails and other responsibilities and go to your space, and it's your time. Like, it's your me time to connect.
Yes, that's so important to put it on your schedule. And I mean, I've got color coded calendar that I'm really nerdy about, but it has to go on there, or else it's just not going to happen. And so and it is hard trying to balance everything, but it's important to carve out that time for yourself. You know, you have to refill, and then you're able to give more. And that's what I have to remind myself often is giving, and I have to remind myself to give myself that time to refill.
Yeah.
And
why were you reserved or didn't think that you would like teaching online?
I think I'm used to the energy of a room, and I thought, how is that going to fit in this little box? And, the moving around the room like I do, even, in a yoga class, I'm used to teaching outside a lot, and, moving over to one direction and then, cueing and saying, okay, now reach your hand out and look at the ocean. I'm like, how is that going to make any sense inside? Mm-hmm. And that's became my teaching style. And suddenly that all has to change. And so, I couldn't picture it. I sometimes got frustrated just teaching inside in general because I really liked being outside. But just looking at some of the ways that the Zumba class, we'd face each other, and I'd be running around the room like a little ping pong ball, and you're just going, how is this going to work? How's this going to work? How is it going to translate to this little tiny box when I'm jumping up and I still catch myself. I'm like, okay, my head just went out of the screen. Just the ceiling fan. So there's just different variables that just kind of feeling a little uncertain or doubtful that it was gonna feel good to me, or that it was gonna make sense to me. And I think having that, knowing that some of my students that I've seen in person are on the other side, and they're sending me little messages before class and after class, and on the band app, I can, I know that they still took my class later, even if they weren't there live. And you start meeting new people and meeting new students, through that. And you feel that energy, you still feel that same love, and it keeps you going, and you're like, okay, I can do this, and find a way to make it work.
How have you changed your style of teaching then? Because if you were so used to being in person and thriving off of the in-person personalities of other people that and their energy and just the pumping room, and you said it is a challenge to now go online where you're just teaching to a box where you can sometimes not have anyone on with you live, because a lot of the times they're taking these classes on demand. And some of the feedback that we've gotten from many of our members have said that no matter that they may be taking an on-demand class, they actually really feel like the instructor's in their room with them, and they feel like it's a live class because of how the instructor teaches. So how have you changed how you teach from in person, where it's easy to connect with someone and go off of their energy, but now bringing it home where sometimes if you're teaching to zero and you're teaching to a box, how do you maintain your energy? How do you get through a class and feel like you're still connecting with the students?
I think I'm just picturing them in my mind, and visualizing that they are there. And maybe that comes from so many years of teaching to people. And I mean, even at the hotel, sometimes I taught a class to one person, and I don't care. Yeah, let's do this. Like, and we can still make it fun and still make it a party. And, so maybe there's a little of that there too, where you just have to dig and find it within yourself. Like, okay, like this is gonna, we're still reaching out, even though it is digitally, there's still a vibration there, there's still a signal being cast, and you kind of have to choose to still send that signal, even if you can't see them in person, that you still want to, send them that energy through a screen if you have to.
Yeah.
And know that it's coming back at you, somehow it's vibrating, it's not just one way. And so I think, having that mindset really, really helps. I don't have to know, because plenty of times I'm on there and I'm like, nobody's watching. But, in some ways maybe I work harder because I I feel like, okay, well, they're gonna watch this later, and they're gonna need that. They need your energy. They need that. And so it's still, you got to find it. I don't know.
That's what I feel is I'm actually, it's a new challenge to me, because again, I'm a super old dog teaching group fitness for over 30 years, that teaching virtually now has actually challenged me to up my game, because we can get easily complacent, especially if you have worked your way up the ladder, you've got a following, that you can really teach a step touch the entire hour and your class would love it. Like, you've gotten to that point sometimes in your career where you're not challenged anymore. And I welcome this challenge where I feel that, you know what, it's really putting me to up my teaching level, because I now need to be more entertaining. I need to maintain my energy level. I need to do little tips and tricks that's going to make them feel like, like I'm giving them a high five in the class, like we would. And so that's what I've personally found, is that I have to be a lot more creative. And you're actually super creative. If you guys haven't taken any of Kelly's classes, she constantly is doing theme classes, which is so, and like, people love that so much. So how do you keep that creativity up without it overwhelming you?
Yeah, there's a balance there, because there's sometimes where I'm like, okay, I'm going down the rabbit hole of making a playlist and I need to stop. But it's fun for me. I think when I enjoy something, it doesn't feel as much of an expenditure. When I'm passionate about it, which I am, it comes from a different place. It comes from a different kind of energy. And but definitely in terms of upping your game was was definitely it. And I think that's why at first I thought, oh boy, like, am I good enough? Am I gonna be able to do this? Are they gonna and it was, it was good for me. It really stepped me out of my comfort zone to really have to go to a next level of like, okay, I gotta have everything a little bit more practiced, in a class. Zumba example, my front row knows the choreography better than I do. And if I forget, no big deal. I have to know what I'm doing. In barre class, I can move around the room and have somebody else kind of in front, so I can help somebody else out, and so there's different aspects that I definitely had to, take on a different mindset, or just even the camera angles, of knowing like, okay, I got to turn a little bit more to the corner so they can still see this. And I'm still, I'm still learning so much, because there's times I look at it, I'm like, oh, that didn't work, because, my foot's out of the screen or something. But, being willing to try. And I think that's where, some of that fear was holding me back for a long time, of just that I wasn't good enough. And so, you had to step it up and go, okay, I'm just going to try. And, at least I'm trying and putting in that energy and effort. And, I love it. I love, doing the different, ideas, and things that bring people in, and then they go, oh, okay, that was something that maybe I hadn't, a kind of music I hadn't seen before, or haven't seen, but I haven't heard before. And so they're getting introduced to just different elements. And then sometimes they get used to your class and then they're willing to try something else. Maybe they've never done yoga before and you. So they're like, okay, I'll try this.
Yeah. So, all right. So here's a good question then in regards to teaching virtually. What are some of your favorite classes to teach, first of all?
I like it. I love it all. That's that's kind of my problem.
Yeah.
I'm an octopus. I love it all. It's, you know, and I love being able to bring out those different variables. Dancing's definitely at the top, just because that's just been my love since I was a little kid. You know, I came out of the womb dancing. So, you know, but that's the energy there, the opportunity of just sharing something I really love and I'm joyous about. And then you're like, wow, I have this opportunity to share this with people and I get paid for it. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's one of the great points about you is every time I see your videos, because obviously as an owner, we do have to watch all the videos too, is something about you that really comes across virtually. So again, this is such a different animal for instructors that physically when you're in person at a gym, you don't necessarily have to be as big of a personality because again, your physical energy and space is there. And again, you can always jump off of somebody else's energy and play around with them here. But what I've noticed, especially with you when you're teaching, is that your energy is really big and beaming coming through, not so much just because you have fancy choreography or an amazing playlist, but because of your face and your smile and just your kookiness and silliness comes across and connects with our members. So I appreciate that. So now let me ask you, why, if you've got a following, so you have a following of members who are dedicated, they take the classes on Group Fitness Live, and as you said, you've encouraged them to take other classes on Group Fitness Live and get to know other instructors. I have a two-part question. The first part here, and I got to write down the second one so I don't forget it. The first part is, why did you decide to join Group Fitness Live as a collaboration to teach virtually? Why not just build your own website or Facebook group online and just teach your own and do your own classes?
Well, that's a two-part answer. I did do my own thing for a little while. You know, right away, I got started right away with it. ZUMBA gave us a lot of opportunities and a lot of information to start right away. So I was like, all right, let's take off with this. Let's give it a shot. You know, I'm unemployed. Why not? So I needed to put my energy somewhere. So, you know, I did that and it was great. It was wonderful. We all still needed to see each other's faces there for a while. But it was so much work. I mean, it was a lot, you know, having to send out the meeting ideas and the passwords, and it, you know, became a lot. And so when this opportunity came up and I saw little sprinkles of it here and there, because I still follow you and Holly, and I was like, okay, you know, and so I'm blushing. But I follow you guys. But you know, you guys were still on my radar. You've always been on my radar, someone I admire. And then I thought, okay, wow, they're starting this thing. That'd be amazing. Because again, it's somebody you trust and somebody that you know is going to put their heart and soul into something and make it successful. And you know that it's going to be smart. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be fun and just have this, you know, down to earth vibe, but also very professional and everyone's, you know, high quality, everything. And I was, you know, I was just so excited, but very nervous, you know, because it's been a long time since I had to put myself out there like that. And, you know, so it really challenged me, but in a great way. And I was so excited to come on board and to be part of something. Cause, you know, again, I thought, well, they're on the cutting edge here, and, you know, this is going to go somewhere. And, you know, let's get on the train. Let's go. But
we appreciate you put your trust in us, but I think there's value, you know, again, with this whole collaboration, because again, like you said, it takes the weight off of your shoulders of complete responsibility. And I feel that there is that space for instructors who still want to have their own pocket of community and they can teach, But again, just in knowing from experience of researching it and being a point person for instructors to learn how to teach virtual, that I've discovered there's a huge animal that sometimes instructors don't really understand that it comes into. It's not just finding a place to teach live, that there's whole problems with music and the licensing to be able to use music, especially if you're on social media, even getting someone's information and then collecting payment from them. And then, like you said, with the whole issue of making sure they've got the link to where the workouts are, there's all these animals, and it becomes messy that it's like, when do you find time to still be in love and do what you want by putting your classes together to teach? So that's one of the big reasons that Holly and I saw this value of bringing top level instructors like yourself together, and we'll do all of that for you. Like, we spent months and spent a lot of research taking care of all that. And that's one of the biggest, I think, perks for us, especially with the music licensing, that you have complete freedom to use whatever music you want on our platform, because we wanted you to feel safe and to be able to connect with that too. So is that helpful for you that you can use whatever music?
Oh, so much. And yes, I love that I get to focus on teaching. And so
Yeah.
that energy to look at a playlist. And so, not only from, can I use this song, but, being able to be creative with that, with the music, because it is such a strong driver. And, in my life, for sure, it's just, I think of myself more of an athlete. I just love music. And so I move to it. However I move to it.
Yeah.
And different kinds of music, and move differently. And yeah, there's definitely, when I talk about integrity, that's I'm trying to sum it up in one word there. There's a lot out there that, maybe, isn't following everything. So, I really appreciate a place, again, that is not only giving guidance, but also following that path that, so many of us instructors that have, we've been doing it a long time, and we kind of know the ins and outs. And
Yeah.
it does change when you're going online, but some of it doesn't. Some of it still is the same, and you need to have, these things in line. And, just trying to get people to sign a waiver can be difficult. And so not having to worry about that, or worry about those weird conversations that sometimes people have, or not having to worry about asking for money. It's such a stress relief, that it's just like, okay, here's my link. If it's all cool. You want to come to my class? Great. You don't feel like you're, overselling yourself in that way, the way that I was like, okay, but before, it can be a lot for one person to take on. And then when you find a community of all these other instructors who, again, you trust them, that they're qualified, that they're amazing, and that your students are also going to love them. And so it gives you a day off. That's what I was like. Yeah. You want these people in your life, and we need each other, because I'm like, I'm not teaching 20 classes a week anymore. My mom can't handle that. Yeah. You want somebody else that, is different, but also has a lot of the similar qualities that your instructors love about you. And you can trust and hand them off and say, yeah, this person's, you're going to love their class. It's going to be so much fun, and try that on a different day, try it on a different hour, whatever. And it becomes less about so much on your own shoulders.
Did you ever think about competition? Because I've grown through my years as an instructor. And initially, in my early years of being an instructor, I wanted it to be the Christine show. Like, my stuff was the best. And I was in competition with other instructors. So that can be a thought of instructors who are seeing this collaboration option and wanting to just have their own thing, because they're nervous about the people that are coming and paying them to now have the exposure of other instructors where there's that possible competition or loss. Did you even consider that?
No. I think for me, it's more, often some of my best friends are instructors. And so, we go to each other's classes. I've seen some really, really ugly stuff go down in my years. it is, you know, it is tough out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be a little crazy. And I guess I also knew coming on board with Group Fitness Live that there would not be that wasn't going to be a variable.
Yeah.
That I would something that you had to worry about, you know, which is also very relieving. But yeah, I'm not, you know, I definitely like teaching a lot of different things, but I can't be there all the time. And I can't, I can't be the one and only instructor
Yeah.
for anybody. And I don't want to be,
Yeah.
because that's too much. So you really, for me, it's more, especially, some of the, the gyms here and the hotels here, we have to cover for each other and we have to help each other out. It's a different, mindset. And, I appreciate that. That's kind of where I come from, in terms of, everyone's going to have their things that their skills that they really drive on, and things that we all have to work on, but it's okay for somebody to teach and have a different style, and different people are gonna maybe be attracted to that, and that's great. That's okay. Like, I don't want somebody teaching exactly the way I do, so I want to encourage them to be themselves, to be themselves, and and to be, a little bit different, and that's cool. Like, yeah, they'll learn something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gotten so many ideas from watching the other instructors teaching. I was like, oh, that's a good way to communicate with them virtually, or just getting these little ideas that we're picking up to grow. And that, I think, is one of the strongest senses. Like, again, fitness people usually are very supportive and are serving and want other people to excel. That is the basics. We didn't want any divos. We really wanted it to feel non-threatening and open for everyone to feel like they can be themselves and to connect with everyone. So who is then Group Fitness Live for? Because obviously there's a lot out there. I mean, you could just go on YouTube and search and find any workout video and follow along. But and obviously there's other platforms that offer professionally edited fitness celebrity trainer workouts as well. Where personally for me, I stand from a place of that you have to be a part of multiple things to keep those different layers in your life, so that you're not just this one layer of workouts, because we know that can always change and get boring. So I believe in all of the opportunity of these pre-edited, professionally produced programs, and then a live instructor experience. So how do you kind of talk to people about who is this for? Who is Group Fitness Live for? And what would they get out of being a part of it?
I think people that really still enjoy that sense of community. So there's still, you're coming, whether you're on the app, to find out, there's still a sense of community. I think, people that, if they've lost their gym, or they've lost, their studio, you name it, there's still a place where you are going to find other people that have a similar interest and a similar like. And there's so much motivation going on where people are cheering each other on, like, yeah, I did this workout today. And then everyone's like, yeah, awesome job. And so there's still that factor that you're getting of, the accountability, but also other people recognizing your accomplishment, that, oh, I did this workout. And they're really, yes, good job, so you're still getting that piece, that, you don't necessarily have to go and post your workouts, say, I did my workout, because a lot of times people want to do that so that they can kind of track it, and so, it gives you still that opportunity to feel connected, to others, and not just, to the instructors, but the other students that are also taking those classes. And that's just really important. That's something we all really need right now.
Yeah. Ignore this phone call. It's always spam.
Because it's lunchtime. I'm gonna have a hungry little 9-year-old out here.
Well, we're so appreciative that you shared this time with us. Is there any kind of final advice that you would give to someone who is thinking about trying Group Fitness Live? What would you tell them? Why should they just jump in? What would be some advice?
You just have to be brave. you know, and have that courage to try to give it a try, give it a shot. You know, some people are still very, you know, yeah, they're apprehensive of doing something online, and, you know, maybe it's a safety issue or security issue. And so now you've got this really, you know, secure place, a very, you know, trusted space to try it. And you know, yeah, it takes a lot of courage to try something new. I'm always to people when they try my class for the first time, it, you know, it takes that sense of bravery, and but it can be done.
Yeah.
And it's different, but it can be done. And, you know, to just be open-minded that you know, the world is changing whether we like it or not. And, you know, we're just got to find different ways to stay connected to everybody. So
Yeah. Well, we're so again thankful for you and all that you do to be a part of us and to make us such a success. And we want to make sure, of course, that you can share your promo discount code, because if you want to save 10% on any of the memberships with Group Fitness Live, Kelly does have a special promo discount code that she can share with you. So what is that, Kelly?
KELLEY, the extra E, 10. So it's all caps, KELLEY 10.
Awesome. And you can go to her page, just go to groupfitnesslive.com and click on instructors, and you're going to see Kelly. Just click on Kelly and you can see a little bit more about her bio, but also that's where her code is, and you can get a 10% discount by putting that in. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us, Kelly. We're so excited to have you on board, and we really are appreciative. Thank you again.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.